Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. From time to time on the show, we hold AMA episodes. That is, Ask Me Anything. If you have a question you think is going to be of broad interest, send it in. I love to answer your questions. Send your questions to victor@victorjm.com. That's victor@victorjm.com. On today's show, we're talking about the process of finding life balance. For us, we are currently living in several different time zones at the same time. We spent the last 2 weeks living on board a boat in northern France, all the while working to repair things on board, maintain client meetings by phone, keeping in mind the time zone differences with home. Everything seems a little off balance. On the west coast of France, we're actually further west than most of the UK, but we're on Central European time and an hour ahead of Britain. As a result, it's daylight here until well after 10:30 p.m. We're eating much later than normal, often having dinner at 9 p.m. Our phone calls with North America start at 3 in the afternoon, which is the start of the business day in the eastern and central parts of North America. Mornings are spent working on the boat and doing paperwork. Fortunately, our internet access has been excellent and has made getting work done much easier. Many of our meetings are held by video conference using either Skype or Zoom. Structure is so vitally important in maintaining a sense of organization and order. Without that structure, life seems chaotic. Our business day has been shortened to only a few hours of time zone overlap. It would be too easy to allow meetings to go on until 11 p.m. at night. And that actually happened once this week. It's almost like we're learning to live life all over again. The French have social norms here that are quite different from North America. Most businesses are open in the morning, they close at noon, and often are not reopening until 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon. The stores are open until 7 or 7:30 in the evening. Living on board a sailboat, we don't have access to a car, so even things like getting groceries requires much more careful planning. When we're at home, if we want to wash the dishes, we turn on the tap and we wash the dishes. On a boat, you've got to be much more mindful of water consumption. You've got to plan your water reserves. None of these things by themselves are particularly challenging, but cumulatively, it requires a lot more planning, and a lot of simple things in life seem to take an awful lot longer. We've reestablished our morning meditation practice. When we're at home, if we want to get some exercise, we hop in the car and we go to the gym. On the boat, we've got to be mindful of the weather. If there's a rainstorm coming, we may have to reschedule our exercise between rainstorms. Storage in the galley is much more restricted than in our kitchen at home, and our refrigeration is much smaller, so our meal planning has to be much more detailed, much more meticulous. Now, I'm not complaining at all. Loving the fact that we're here in France, we're learning a lot, we're enjoying the culture, we're experiencing a different way of living. All of that's an enormously enriching experience. And we're also learning how to relive the basics of life all over again. Generally speaking, planning is important, it's vital to everyday life, but there's some days you can get away with simply having a to-do list and letting the day follow its flow. But when the basics of everyday living get in the way and make it more difficult to get your work done, planning becomes vitally essential. So what does that look like? It starts with establishing some clear boundaries. It starts with time blocking time for work, for exercise, for meal preparation, for sleep, for the essentials of everyday life. When you're accustomed to being productive and working at a high energy level, it's quite a jarring experience to see your productivity suffer. In our case, our disruption was self-imposed. It was something we wanted to do. But maybe you're dealing with an ailing parent or a family member who's got a health issue. Maybe you've got something else going on in your life that's impacting your productivity. Now, I've discovered what happens on a day-to-day basis is rarely an issue. But in our culture, in our society, our determination of success and failure has nothing to do with what happens. It has to do with the expectations we set. The expectations we set with others, the expectations we set for ourselves. And so part of the planning exercise is as much an exercise in resetting expectations for ourselves. And when we've done that well, the stress level goes way down. As you think about that, think about your own expectations for your own day-to-day structure. Have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.